Two of them we've seen in the past year, turned out, met and butterfly.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, I
Hey,
once,
Julie.
in case some of you don't know, if you've ever taken the MMPI, uh, it turned out that I was gay according to the MMPI because I listened to classical music and not, not too many cultural values embedded in that one. I think it's one of the
What a great recommendation.
Oh my
Did
God.
you listen in a closet?
That's have to be it, right?
I call that my hut. That's all a monk is supposed to have is a fucking closet.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
Anything
dear.
more than that is excessive. Well, welcome everybody. We'll turn around and let you say hi to our virtual participants. That's Billy,
Yeah.
Ramona, and Reba. Reba is joining us. She recently moved here from
Las
Las
Cruces.
Cruces, New Mexico. So, and
All
my
right,
son told me
Bentley.
they're in some cosmic river
Oh,
Las Cruces.
of moisture that's come in.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So like hit Washington.
hmm California.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm at the end.
Bentley.
Everyone.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm at the end.
Thank you for
Or we can send them a message on the side. You know that.
Iranian. So today I'm going to start with another reading from the Radiance Sutras.
Okay,
Again,
not until I silence everybody. Hold on. Whoop, whoop. Okay. Proceed.
I thought I was in control of my life. Oh, foolish man. So again, the Radiant Sutra, this translation is wonderful, Lauren Roche. And it is a dialogue between Shiva and his consort about ways to attain enlightenment. So every one of these verses is a different way, and it goes directly to the point, overriding everything else that we study, is this sense that your true nature is spaciousness. I'm reading a book now by Dan Brown called The Secret of Secrets, and it's about non-local awareness, that our consciousness actually is out there, our awareness is out there, and our brains are more tuners that are receiving the signals rather than being the thing that's broadcasting. And so today, again, we're going to look at the fact that you're getting all this input through your senses, and your brain narrows this focus down to only a few bits of information through the reticular activating system that we actually experience. And we think that we're experiencing reality, but we're experiencing a very filtered part of reality that is actually in our control, that we can begin to shape the way we experience the world out there by changing the filter. What I found most interesting is that GABA, very simple neurotransmitter, is actually your brain's major filter. So when you take hallucinogens or something and you have your doors of perception open, what it's actually doing is kicking down the GABA in your system so that it does less filtering and you get a bigger sense of what's going on out there.
Spoiler alert for the book.
For the book.
Yeah,
Well, that's not really a spoiler.
a little bit.
A little tiny bit. It says, gaze out at space. Okay. We get trapped in our heads. When I was at the University of Chicago, I'd get in my carrel and I'd sit there from 8 in the morning till 8 at night and go, did the sun shine today? Did it rain? What was the temperature? I had no idea. Totally in my head. Reality disappeared. Get out of your head, get out of your body, get out of that world, get back out into space. Aware of the multicolored luminosity permeating everywhere. Reality we're filtering out. The blue sky filled with rays from the sun, pointing us again at energy. The night sky dark yet crisscrossed by the light of billions of suns. How can this be? All space is the same, inside you and far away. Again, not two sets of awarenesses. There's not my inner awareness and my outer awareness. They're awareness aware of internal signal, awareness aware of external signals. Same reality, same awareness. That's why non-judgmental awareness unifies us with reality, because it gets rid of the boundary between us. Lose yourself in spaciousness and come home to your true self. Capital S self, true self. What is our true self? It's spaciousness, emptiness. Doesn't have a form, just like God, no form. Pure awareness. Pure awareness that has the quality of compassion. Compassion is non-judgmental. That's all it means. Doesn't mean warm fuzzies. Just means doesn't judge what you see. So it's out there. It's out there. So what we look at is what's keeping me from seeing that right this moment. Well, modern science is beginning to answer that. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things. This first one is on this reticular activating system part of our brain. So I throw out these words and Lil reminds me, people don't know what you're talking about. So that's how we got off on this little jaunt into neuroscience, is to begin to see how these people are actually talking. What is it that they're discovering about how the brain works? So give me just a second to find this.
And if you missed last week while he locates that, go find it on YouTube. That reading that I thought was so powerful. I taught it in yoga about the modern day fear of overwhelm.
Fear of being
It was a
overwhelmed.
really, really good one. So if you missed last week, go find that one.
So probably the most common thing that people discover when you start to meditate, and we'll see how many hands we can get, as you begin to pay attention to your thoughts and take a step back. How many of you notice that your thoughts go in loops, particularly your negative thoughts, and that there's a very definite chain of ideas and that they repeat over and over again? And do you ever wonder why that's happening? Because this happens without your permission. Even when you're trying to push those thoughts out of your mind, the more you try to push it out of your mind, the more you get caught in them. Well, this is from someone on Instagram named Liz Bagwell. It was a neuroscientist. And she said, here's the reason we get caught in negative thought loops, and the shocking reason that medication and therapy often don't solve the root problem. People were shocked when a neurobiologist explained that individuals who suffer from excessive negative thoughts had accidentally been training their brains to notice less positive things happening to them. Listen to that. You've trained your brain actively not to see the positive in life. These individuals did not just have more negative thoughts. Their brains had literally been trained over time to dismiss positive things as insignificant, and instead highlight negative, insignificant things as potentially important. Hear that. Insignificant things being highlighted by your brain as important, leaving them feeling extremely negative and stuck in a loop. This is what we call the negativity bias of your brain. If you leave it unchecked, it trains itself to focus on negative information. It prioritizes it over positive. It also stores it. As I say to my clients, what did you have for lunch 3 days ago? Don't remember, okay, but you remember every insult. You remember everything that you didn't get done. Every trauma gets retained by your brain, okay? The brain was designed to spotlight and help us notice what we focus on most. The spotlighting is the brain's reticular activating system, or RAS. Each second, our brain is flooded with over 11 million bits of information from our five senses. Okay, here's where the gating happens. The spotlight helps decide which of the 11 million bits of information are pushed into your conscious awareness. What gets let through? This was designed as both a way to keep us safe from danger. So what it's focusing on is potential danger. So danger gets our attention very quickly. Positive things don't. And it's also designed to keep you from being overwhelmed. Because if all 11 million bits got in, we get overwhelmed, get information overload. So your brain is, don't think of your brain as the enemy. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's that we need to learn to counterbalance it. If someone has experienced a lot of negative things happening to them, their spotlight, aka the RAS, reticular activating system, begins to flag all the negative things around them and deprioritize the positive things. The more negative things the brain spotlights, the more negative thoughts a person will have. Thankfully, the opposite is also true. The more positive thing the brain spotlights, the more positive things the brain will create. If someone is intentional in retraining their spotlight to highlight positive things again, they can start to shift their thinking. Every negative experience that you have, every word you say or hear or thought that you have is either creating a new negative neural pathway. You need to hear this. This is karma, dear. Okay? It's inescapable. Everything that you hear lays down a protein track. That's all it is. I don't know what you think a thought is, but that's what it is. I don't know what you think an emotion is, but that's what it is. It's all neural pathways. That's all you're experiencing. That's where neuroscience has totally revolutionized our understanding of our experience. Okay? It's either creating a new pathway, strengthening an old pathway, or if we ignore it, and this is where neuroplasticity is, your past doesn't have to become your future because we can actively intervene on our brains and shift their prioritization. And to me, that's what spirituality is. Spirituality isn't about having a beautiful spiritual experience. Okay, that's wonderful. But as the theologian Soren Kierkegaard said, that's simply an aesthetic experience then. That doesn't go anywhere. But when you begin to apply those positive experiences to shift the way you view reality. So when I was out in my white light experience and experiencing peace, love, and joy and movement of energy, if I take that experience back and apply it and say, regardless of what I think I'm seeing or my brain is telling me I'm seeing, I know that that's what's operating behind it. And that's why we say, if you begin to retrain your self-perception, not that I'm the thoughts I'm thinking, not the body I have, but do what India Ari says in her song, I am light, I am light, I'm light, I'm light. Regardless of what everything looks like, that's not the reality. The real reality is I'm the same energy that you are. It's all God stuff. Can you see how powerful that is to take these moments of insight into the depth of reality and self-correct when your brain starts wanting to focus you and draw your attention into the fear? Together, the RAS and the strongest neural pathways become the filters through which you see yourself and the world around you. What typically started as trauma or a stressful season causes a person's spotlight to get stuck in a negative loop, making them feel like nothing positive is happening, nothing that they are not positive, that life isn't worth living, and we begin to shift towards dorsal vagal. The reason many traditional therapy models often don't work well to stop negative thoughts is they don't address the issue of the spotlight being stuck. And instead, by rehearsing and repeating the trauma, talking about it, writing about it, journaling about it, they actually reinforce the negative pathways. and make people more reactive. Medication, again, doesn't address the root cause, which is the way we process the world. So I've been working on my protocol. First thing in the morning, it's the most important moment of your day. The way you start your day is the way you're going to spend the next 6 to 8 hours. The first thing when you wake up, before you open your eyes, say, I am safe. And take a moment to land in the safety of this moment. Say it out loud, I am safe. Your nervous system needs safety to be able to integrate negative experiences, okay? That's how therapy works. We take the traumatized part of our brain into the safety of the present moment. So I begin to establish that sacred space in my life with my first thought, I am safe, okay? Second thought you want to have is, I can handle whatever comes my way today. We're going to get into that next and reinforce that a little bit. So the first few moments of your brain when you first wake up is already in fight or flight. Think about it. First thing that hits your mind is your to-do list or the biggest threat that you have today. You begin to notice that it's always, what are you most concerned about? That's it doing what it's supposed to do. Again, if you're up in a tree, fell asleep, and there's a tiger underneath the tree, first thing you want to realize is there's a tiger under the tree. Okay? You don't want to get out of the tree and go pee. So it's going to want to do that. So immediately we redirect it. You're activating the prefrontal cortex. Okay? This doesn't get on board generally till a half hour after you wake up. That's why there's that kind of foggy feeling until you get your legs under you. So immediately I'm taking control, going to the part of my brain that has control and makes decisions and saying, I'm safe. Okay? I've got food to eat, roof over my head, I'm good. And I'm competent, okay? My brain needs to know I'm in control. The world's not in control of what I'm going to experience next, okay? Next, you're going to say 3 things you're grateful for. Okay, why am I doing that? Because that activates dopamine. Dopamine is part of your salience network of what tells you what's important, okay? It's part of that reticular activating system of what's going to prioritize your day. So remember, the sacred is what? It is scary, it's a threat, but it's also fascinating. It's also opportunity. Every crisis is a dangerous opportunity. I'm going to start my day thinking about the opportunities. Again, shifting the brain towards the positive. Turns out that even if you don't find anything to be grateful for, the very search for something to be grateful for releases dopamine. It's win-win. You can't lose doing that, okay? Next, you're going to practice self-esteem. Self-esteem, I tell my people, is not a noun. You don't have self-esteem. Where's your self-esteem, Billy? Where? Oh, it's on the shelf and back, right? So it's not a thing, it's a process. How much time during your day do you spend valuing yourself? And what we may focus on next week is your brain hears the way you talk to yourself. Listen to your tone. Listen to your tone. You're still using this tone, even telling yourself you should do your spiritual exercises. That's horrible. That activates the whole trauma network. So now I'm going to bring forward, God, I really admire the way you made that phone call you've been putting off. I'm really proud of you for dealing with the customer service person for an hour and a half. I'm really proud of you for taking the time to take care of your body. You know, real things that you actually did, that you value, that you esteem. You know, esteem yourself. So now I esteem myself, and then you remember your glimmers. You have to pull these things forward, people. You have to remind yourself. We just went through a little thing, Linnell pulled it forward, of last year, all the photographs and places we had been, things we had done, already forgotten. Wonderful moments captured on your phone. Remember those times when life felt positive, when it felt sacred, okay? So to me, what that does is that gets a whole other set of filters on board so that you begin to see the positive in light. It shifts your brain out of the negative loops. Now, if you have problems with getting out of the negative loops, even having said all this, let's say you have a crisis, something happens you didn't expect, and all of a sudden you're fear-based and you're caught in it and you can't get out of the loop. Then try this, okay? I won't go into the neuroscience of it, but Huberman talks about this. All you have to do, and it takes literally 30 seconds to do it, is to do this. For 30 seconds, okay? Now, what is happening? Your trauma networks work on regular patterns. That's why it loops. When you give it a chaotic pattern, it breaks the loop. You literally reset your brain and it becomes reprogrammable. And that's what I love about what neuroscience is giving us. It's giving us tools that actually work to intervene on your brain. These are not theories, people. This is the hardest thing to get across to you. Old school therapy was theories. Neuroscience is science. You don't do this, you will get this result, scientifically verifiable, predictable. So we need to bring neuroscience into our practices using the insights they have. Matthew has been one of those examples of someone who said, I'd have trouble just sitting to start, but has discovered that these kinds of hacks helped him get to the point where he can sit and benefit from sitting. So we'll keep passing that stuff forward. You're not alone. And if what you've been doing isn't working, try this. So it's always a pragmatic practice. Doesn't matter what works for other people. It's finding something that works for you. Again, point of spirituality, not to have experiences, but to begin to apply the experiences that you've had to reshape the way you're experiencing reality using techniques of neuroplasticity. Okay? Got it? So that's what we're about. So let's go ahead and meditate. Find a comfortable position. If you need to go off screen and shake for a while, feel free. Allowing your awareness to come to your breath. Every time you do this, training your brain to land in the present moment. You're taking a step back from the artificial reality being generated by your brain. Coming to the present reality of the sensations of the breath. Taking a note from the Radiance Sutras. Let your senses expand into the spaciousness around you. What's the most distant sound you can hear? Is it the acorns falling on the roof? Is it the traffic on the street outside? Is it someone out in the house? Is it a bird? Literally coming to your senses, connecting with your body, which is always in the present moment. As you feel the flow of sensations, the energy moving in your body, again, you're anchored in the present moment and shutting off the monkey mind. Which lives in the memory banks and the predictive parts, projection parts of the brain, and shifts you towards what's real. Letting the breath find its own natural rhythm. Perhaps beginning to sense the sensations of your body relaxing, shifting ventral into the part of you that feels curious, optimistic, playful. And if you're interested, let that curiosity focus on the thoughts, the emotions being generated as sensation hits your body. Noticing the quality and texture of the thoughts. The reason for looking at your thoughts is not to understand them as being about who you are, but seeing them as what I've been conditioned to see as important. Becoming curious about the filter that you use for reality. As your mind drifts off into thoughts, bring yourself back to your body. Don't lose contact with it. Stay in contact with the space around you. Aware that these are constricted compressions of reality. Bringing them into awareness so we can have a more skillful response. How much time are you spending in the future caught in anticipation or dread? How much time do you spend in the past regretting things or nostalgically yearning for things that have ended? Just witnessing what your mind tends to focus on without judgment, without fixing. As you watch the reruns, bring them into the space that surrounds them. Keep you from experiencing this moment fully. Breathing space into these compressed moments as they unfold. Settling into the ever-changing present moment. For this is where your life happens. And the Stoic Marcus Aurelius had a discipline. Every day he would ask himself, what is one thing that occupied my mind today that I don't want to let occupy my mind from now on? Making a decision means when it emerges, I'm not going to entertain it. I'm not going to consider it. To the extent that you're closed, you give stress to the world. Your clench ripples outward, resonating others, encouraging them to closure. And even if you're trying to help others, that clench communicates itself along with your efforts. People may benefit from your actions, but in the process, they're also affected by your clutch. So as you learn to open, no matter what's happening in your mind, you enable your true nature as love to emerge through a body that is lived as an openness, as a presence. You can remain open in spite of uncertainty, in spite of pain. I open my heart to the world. I choose to love freely, to see without judgment. To empty myself of all habitual patterns of closure. Every moment I heal myself, I heal the world by providing a non-anxious presence for others to heal more fully. Greatest gift that we can give. Okay. Who did we just lose? Oh my goodness. Love your pants.
Well, thank you. They're very comfortable.
Yeah. All righty. Reason I was chuckling was Linnell did something that I've done a million times, and that's when you take a whiff at the gong, you're trying to hit it so gently that you don't even sound it. And you got to get to take another swing. Thank God, 3 strikes, and you hand it over to someone else. Oh, so what y'all got? Questions, comments?
My comment is I absolutely loved these lessons. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for you and for this whole, for all the Hollywood squares. But thank you. Thank you for doing this week after week. But thank you for today. Oh, I always try and do the gratitude thing, but these other things I think are really important too. And I love it. I love having something to do.
That's really what my
Thank
effort in
you.
my book is to really condense all this wisdom down into a very short, very practical way of integrating habits in your day. You know, like have a choice when you're taking a walk. Yeah, you're supposed to get walk and hope molecules get released, but you can layer on mindfulness while you're doing it, or you can layer on going out for a walk in the woods and get your forest bath, or you can take a friend along and be mindful of the companionship in your friendship. So it's just ways of saying, it's not so much what it is, to some extent what you're doing. Obviously, meditating out in nature is more powerful than meditating in a closet. But far more important is what Eckhart Tolle says: what's the quality of your awareness in the present moment? That's your capacity to change. If I'm just sleepwalking through my day and the tape is deciding what's important for me, I'm going to have a very qualitatively different day than if I'm constantly having things in my life that wake me up, that reconnect me, reground me. So,
I am such a distractible person. I am so easily distracted that having these concrete things to do is very helpful to me.
Years ago, um, building on mindfulness. And that's when you come to the moment that you need the tools,
right.
you know? So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that, boom, all of a sudden I'm aware, oh, yeah.
I put circles in my calendar around the meditations I really want to go back to on YouTube.
Right. There you
Well,
go.
well, this one's going to get an exclamation point and an asterisk.
Well, you'll be pleased with me and some growth I've had. I had 2 more parts that I wanted to include today. I had a parishioner one time who said, "That was a great sermon you gave today." And just as you were wrapping it up, you started the second sermon, and it was pretty
do
good
that too.
too. It said, but by the time you got to the third sermon, you kind of lost me. So I'm trying to discipline my little Asperger brain, tell the little professor to take a rest, and sometimes simplicity is
Just
a
one
virtue.
thing, just one thing.
thing. Yeah.
So when I met you in person in Denver, we kind of talked about the 3 things that you do in the morning. The things that you're grateful for, the things that you admire about yourself and the glimmers. And you refocused me and said, don't do things that you're seeing now. Talk about what you did yesterday. And I felt that practice has been really, really helpful. But I think those 2 things of, I am safe and I can handle anything that comes my way today really enhance that whole experience.
That's new.
I
And
really appreciate that.
yeah, and that's coming out of my continued studies. And I had a beautiful example of this week. A friend of mine who's a professional musician, He's in his 50s and he's playing a gig in Shreveport. And he said, I'm really worried about I'm not going to be able to find my way in. He's playing at the racetrack.
Oh.
And I said, how many gigs have you done? And how many times have you failed to find the stage? In 55 years, he's never once failed to find the stage. And yet he's generating all this anxiety in my office, worried about whether he's going to be able to get to this gig. And that's the shit we do. We don't remind ourselves. This comes out of a book called The Monkey is the Messenger by Ralph De La Rosa. He says, you need to remind yourself of your competency.
Mhm.
The reason for that is the traumatized part of your brain, your amygdala, doesn't update. It doesn't update. It doesn't know that you've been married, that you've raised children, that you have a job, that you've tackled really difficult tasks. It still thinks you're the wounded child. So this is a way of literally bringing these parts into the present moment and letting them see there's a what they call a life journey where you visualize, you take an event from every year of your life that you've had, and then you take the wounded part of you and you imagine yourself as a child, and then you walk them through every year of your life. And you say, here's the car I drive, here's my husband, here are my children. We have children, yeah, you have children, you have a job, yeah, people pay you money for what you do. Your kid doesn't know this. Your kid is still that thing where when that voice is hollering at you, you're cowering, you're looking away, you're trying to become real small. That's where your brain goes. That's not reality. So in the book we're going to look at by Byron Brown, he says, you may not know who you are, but you damn sure know you're not a frightened 3-year-old. Well, that's not true. Most of us really take that brain seriously, which is a frightened 3-year-old, instead of loving them and saying, hey, we've got this, baby. We got confidence. We can handle this shit. So we reinforce that perception every time we give into it and take it seriously. You're training yourself to see yourself as that 3-year-old. That really would that the most skillful thing you got in your box today.
One of the, sorry,
4 at a time.
Go ahead, Tom.
one of the things I just love this morning, which you're reinforcing here, is essentially taking advantage of your brain's tendency to feedback loops by consciously tending the positive feedback loops. It's so important and it's so true. Once you get your brain into a positive feedback loop, man, it's just powerful.
Exactly. And that's basically what we're doing. So remember that phrase, we're reprogramming the human biocomputer. You've got an operating system that's fucked, okay? And so we're consciously writing new code to hook us back up to the positive. And Tom, most of you don't know, was a race car driver. And I think I'm saying correctly, has actually won a couple races at Watkins Glen in his Alfa Romeo that they called the box it came in. It was not one of the really sleek models that they had. But in a book called Art of Racing in the Rain, which you've got to read this book. It's written from the perspective of a dog, and his master is a race car, trains race car drivers. And the art of racing in the rain is when you go into a spin, the car is going to go where your eyes go. That's your reticular activating system, where your eyes go. If you're worried about the wall, guess what you're going to run into?
You're looking at the wall.
But if you can train your eyes to look down the road, you'll straighten out of your spin. That is such a simple metaphor for what spirituality is about. Training your eyes not to always gravitate to the threat, but to the opportunity. Right?
Might be a good moment to read my comment then, Linnell. I don't know if you can see it in the chat.
I am bringing it up. Let's see what we've got. Okay. This is Bentley. If you can pull up your chat. When you said the reticular RAS, it made me think of, I can't see it, EMDR therapy. Reset the RASs, the trauma response, treating it to filter distressing memories as past events rather than present dangers, thereby improving overall attention, emotional regulation, and consciousness. Tapping helps me too.
Yep. Okay. We'll get into the tapping stuff. That yesterday we were looking at what one of our teachers called Douyin. It's actually, it has a different name. It's a Chinese one where you take a loose fist and you tap on your body. And we're finding so much of this bilateral stimulation helps to regulate the brain and bring together the two hemispheres. So very powerful technique. So we'll get into some of that too. Again, simple
Thank
stuff
you,
you can
Bentley.
do. And yes, EMDR very much is taking advantage of getting you out of the traumatized part of your brain into the present moment, reshaping your experience. That's another thing that we don't realize is you trust your memories. Your memories are constantly rewritten every time you have them, okay? That's why we say you've got to watch your storyline, because every time you tell the story, you're modifying it. So I encourage my clients to move from a victim story to a hero story, because yeah, bad things happen, but the good news is you survived them. That's what a hero does. But we're still living in victimization, feeling that we're victims because it happened. No, you're a hero because you survived it. So again, we feel very fragile, but the reality is we're much stronger, much better resource than we give ourselves credit for. And it's time for you to literally realize you've grown up, that you're a pretty neat person. There's one person said, I wish I was the person my dog thinks I am.
Well, speaking
Can
of
I add
dogs,
something? Oh, sorry.
Okay, well,
Go ahead, Dinah.
you all can fight, your siblings, so
Pam
we'll let the baby go first.
and I just got back from a month in Southeast Asia, and I have to say this whole idea of not letting the past affect you. I was especially impressed in Cambodia and in Laos, whose populations have really, really suffered. And our guide was Thai, and she kept saying, yes, we have a very sad and unfortunate past, but we have to look toward our present and future. Right. And we had quite a few contacts with Buddhists, one being a Buddhist monk in a temple in, Pam, do you remember where it was? He was a 24-year-old who had been officially a monk in this community for 4 years, but had been there for 8 or 12 or something like that. And his younger brother was also a monk. And the people were asking, are you going to stay in the temple? Or because you can come and go as you like. It's not something that's a commitment as it is in Catholicism when you become a monk or whatever. And he said, I don't know. He said, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm very happy where I am right now. And I can't tell you what I'm going to do in the future. And he lived this. Mm-hmm. Another one of our guides was talking after he came to the temple, and he said, this is one of my favorite temples to pray in. And one day I walked in the last time I was here, and I looked at Buddha, and it was this huge Buddha, he said, and I thought he looked angry. I thought he looked unhappy. And the next day I went in and he looked happy again. And that was all a reflection of my state. And, this whole thing is so central to their lives and their survival and getting through ugliness and pain, that
they're living examples of this, and it was an amazing experience because we were really in contact with a lot of people in their homes who were just, I wouldn't say optimistic. That's not the right term. They were just living their lives fully because they had to.
Yep. And that's why I like calling this, we're rebranding ourselves. And I like the phrase abundant aging. And we don't look at the fullness of life that becomes possible to us when we're not tied to raising children and having careers and stuff. And our capacity to take our brains to places that invite us into optimism and into a positive full life experience. I mean, to me, this is the greatest opportunity I've had in my life, is this period, not the past. Nothing's ending for me. I'm just getting started because I've got the space.
Well, and speaking of space, and you were talking about dogs. When I take my dogs out at night, I look at the sky and I see the stars moved. No, it's not the stars, it's the earth that moved. And I see the relative position of it every night, and I see the space. And it reminds me how it's not dense, it's fluid, and it's open. And I love that. It's a great thing to do before I go to bed.
I love that. I do the same thing, Drew. And Orion is always the companion in the winter sky. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's zoom home ourselves out. I know, where are we?
Where are we?
Where are I?
Don't know.
I don't know.
All right. 3 rounds of Om. Deep breath in.
Wow.
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 Thank you all. What a great
Thank you.
morning.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Everybody.
you.
Love you guys. Happy solstice.
Okay, heads up.
You too.
Heads up. I
Yeah.
may do some pop-up meditations during this holiday season. I've been wanting to do hour-long meditations to do more getting in touch with spaciousness, a little bit of Adyashanti, and possibly, what's his name, Rupert Spera, who do just
Haven't seen
delicious things about relaxing back into the spaciousness. So if you get the text message, that's probably what it's going to be about. We are going to meet next weekend. So have a good time and prepare to be surprised.
Are you gonna poster?
Thanks.
Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Post your poster?
Thank you, Linnell.
Love you
And Bart.
guys.
Love you, Bart and Linnell. Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you
Good
all.
holiday.
Here.
What a great
Drew.
way to set our positive feedback loop for the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we see the posters?
Yeah, post, honey. You probably
Oh.
post.
Oh, are you going to show the posters?
I'm going to show the opera posters.
Right.
Okay, I'll take you on a little tour around the
My
bar.
goodness.
Wow.
I know. We start over here, La Boheme.
Wow.
Wow.
Iris. Okay. Madama Butterfly. Aida. And then the one that was behind us was the magic flute. Let me go around here. I mean, they're just gorgeous. Puccini, there's Carmen. Look at Turandot. We may have to steal that one. Maybe it'll get lost, you know. You never know.
That's a beauty.
I know.
Beauty.
Falstaff. More over here on the other side of the room. La la la. Some that I've never even heard of, but they're just gorgeous. Verdi. Here's Tosca. Check out that one.
Oh gosh.
Ooh, I know.
Lovely.
I mean, look at those.
Not me.
Vega. I mean, here's another Verdi, Nabucco.
No. God.
Othello.
Of a Native American sitting on a fire with a pioneer.
Cendrillon.
And the Native American.
Are these not yours, Linnell?
No, there's 19 that belonged to a collector in Shreveport who passed away, and his wife donated all of his recordings and books up here to our conductor in Texarkana, to Texarkana College. So they have a whole library set up there at Texarkana College in his honor. And I'm guessing, you know, these will also go into that collection.
Beautiful.
Yeah, very.
They're just so cool. They are just amazing. Woo! Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So Mark is going to come out here to pick them up, but hopefully it'll be a couple of days before he gets here, so we'll get to savor them while we have them. Yeah.
A good meditation, a little art.
Yeah.
What more could you want?
You're right.
Yeah. A few books. I mean, we got it made here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all take care. Have a fabulous week.
You too.
Have a great Christmas.
Great
Linnell.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Body.
Too.